Hello everyone, my name is Ohad and welcome back for another video. This is my first video in 2021, so I want to wish you all a happy new year. As some of you know, I tend to make my videos on the weekends, and as we got to this weekend, I simply had no idea what kind of video I should create. I was really wondering what will interest you guys the most. So I've been thinking that in the spirit of the new year, 2020 had lots of ups and downs. Rather if we're talking about the still-1 Rio Major that got cancelled, the spike and the fall of the entire Csgo community market, or the fact that we got a new operation so quickly. These were all interesting experiences that we've been through, and it got me to think what are the lessons we were supposed to learn and how we can improve the next time. And yeah, when I'm saying the next time, I'm not trying to reference for a new type of COVID, more like what to do when everything seems to crash for whatever reason that may be. So in this video we are going to talk about my top 3 takeaways from 2020 when it comes to messing around with the community market and its items. Before we start, I welcome everyone to leave a comment about what kind of video you would like to see up next, and I will try to get it done as soon as possible. To begin with, I really want to talk about one of the most important points of them all, at least in my own opinion, and that's that patience is everything. Okay, no matter how you flip that script, eventually everything tends to end on the bright side. The other day I was looking at the Berlin capsules and at the wide variety of Katowice stickers I own, and you know what, I can clearly tell that it begins to rise back up again and recover from those low points where everything seems to be so doomed. Will it rise to the same peaks as we experienced earlier this year? Probably yes. Will it take a couple of months? Probably not. Does it mean it will never increase in price? No. Does it mean we just have to wait? Yes, exactly. This whole notion of items just increasing in price rapidly created this fake environment that people thought everything will become profitable in no time. And while there is still some truth to that, in most of the cases, and that's probably a bit wording, but not literally the cases, you just got to wait 3 to 4 months. That's nothing, okay? But people got used to being impatient, which caused a lot of frustration as far as I can tell, and when you are frustrated, you tend to make dumb decisions out of that emotional state. It reminds me of the very first days that Valve rolled out the trade-old update, and people got so frustrated that they sold their M4A4 owl skins for like 500 bucks. I'm not exactly sure how much they're worth as we speak, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are more like 3,000. So it led me to the realization that there is always real opportunity to buy at the dip with faith, unless Csgo and its entire community melts. Now I know that lately a lot of people are concerned by Riot's Valorant competitor that holds many similarities to CSGO, and in fact that's the first shooter game that Riot ever released. For those who are not familiar with Riot Games, it is one of many companies that Tencent Holdings own that's mainly known for their game called League of Legends. Under the same company of League of Legends you can also find Epic Games and Fortnite. Yes, they're all the same. However, I do think that what differentiates Counter-Strike the most, besides being an iconic game for more than 20 years, it's the fact that we have an entire economy system behind Valve's games that creates an insane interest among different type of players that really makes them very unique, and when you think about it, no one ever replicated the community market till this day. During that year, CSGO actually increased their player base, which means that more people show interest in the game despite Valorant. But I also want to shed some light on something that's not being talked about as much. Valve is not only a game maker company. They are developing their own virtual reality technology, they are one of the biggest game resellers, and yes, one can argue that CSGO or TF2 developers teams are not that big compared to other game makers. Back in 2017, the TF2 developers team was based around 4 programmers only. And that's probably one of the main reasons why the Steam Workshop plays a major role and it is so important to reward the community for their work. It helps the game developers tremendously to maintain the game itself with new content. However, I do want to believe that they do care about their top games, which as of right now, this is CSGO. Perhaps the developers team is not as big as expected, which again, I have no real clue how many people it consists of, but the fact that there is a competitive league around it gives CSGO a solid, predictable future in my point of view that will last a few more years ahead. Takeaway number 2 on our list is to know how to read the situation more properly and sell at a spike. Looking backward, many times I got into very long investments, and I still do, because mainly that's the approach I believe in and it still serves me pretty well. But it got into a point of complete ignorance. For example, when the Berlin capsules got about 9 times their original sale value in less than 1 year, that's something we have never seen before, which was completely insane. You should never have treated it as like a casual thing. And in reality, what I believe happened was that those 1 million Legends capsules were hidden away from the market for quite some time, and when it got to a point where the profit margin was so insanely high, people were more strategic and began to sell them. When prices began to drop, it created a sense of urgency in people, they just sold their own through buy orders, and eventually everything collapsed. I think the biggest warning sign was the fact that cases somehow turned out to be a legitimate way to profit those days. And as we know, cases are the most common item drop in the game itself, that keeps producing non-stop for every player for free. And when that kind of item turned into a strange investment, something is definitely wrong. There is a quote that I heard once that I think really explains the lesson here well. Perception is strong and sight weak. In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close and to take a distance view of close things. The lesson is, don't get too caught up in the moment, and always keep in mind how things will unfold in the future. And just try to think for yourself how you can take advantage of these moments. My last takeaway from 2020 is that no matter the situation, TF2 will forever dominate. Sometimes it's hard for me to explain my connection with the game, but Team Fortress 2 is the reason why I started messing around with Steam in the first place. Going back about 8 years ago, this is where I started to trade and learn the mechanics and learn how to negotiate. That's how I used to cash out even my Csgo items. And what I love about it the most is the predictable events that occur every single year, every single time, that's been loyal for me all these years, without a doubt. And for quite some time I really didn't want to talk much about TF2, because I was afraid that there isn't enough scale for new people to jump into the train and compete against me in large quantities. But you know what, this is no longer a big concern for me. And you guys have seen me uploading TF2 videos lately, and I definitely wish to do more of those. When everything seems to break loose, TF2 was still consistent for me. If you never played the game, it's for free, I highly recommend you to check that out. I think it got released back in 2007, but I still enjoy it. Alright, these were my 3 takeaways from 2020 when it comes to messing around at the Steam market. Let me know what did you learn from your 2020, and again, wish you a wonderful new year and stay safe. Talk to you soon.